to FS with Srikanth. Hi, this is Srikanth. Now we are going to discuss data types in C. This is one of the most important concept in C language. So definitely everyone should know, every programmer should know aware about this data types. As per C language, there are 6 data types are there. These are basic data types are 6 that are int, short, long, char, double and float. These are basic fundamental data types. These data types are given by this data type definition is given by the C language only. Here, what is data type? Data types are used to allocate the memory for the variable. Data types are used to allocate the memory for variables and arrays. So what it will be? It allocates the memory, and at a time a data type is used to indicate the type of data value stored in a variable. One is it allocates the memory, and one more is it can be identify the variable type. So how we can identify the variable type? Suppose int a means a can be store only integer values. Suppose there is float a, float b. Suppose the b is only for real numbers, it never store integer values, number values, decimal values. A never store decimal values, b only store decimal values. Like that, the value in these data types can identify the type of the variable, right? Okay, so what is the benefit of these data types? Just you observe, this is a general definition. Suppose there is, we want to collect the data from the different type of end users, right? We are getting data from the different type of end users. Suppose we are collecting some description. Suppose we are collecting description about their description. So here, suppose we are giving a free memory. Free memory means they can write n number of characters. Someone write 10 characters, someone writes 100 characters, someone write 10,000 characters, right or not? So if in case every user can, there is no limit for entering the data. Then so what happens? The users can enter lots of data. It is burden to our hard disk, then automatically application will be going to slow down. Just you observe one example. Suppose this is your mobile. Suppose your mobile is this one. So this capability is 64 GB memory. 64 GB memory is there, but your phone is already stored. I mean, your phone is already having 63 GB data. There is only 1 GB free space. So you can just imagine your phone never works properly, is right? Same way, if in case every end user enters a lot of data, it is burdened to hard disk, it is obviously the performance will be reduced, right or not? Performance will be going to down. So we want to restrict the user when they are entering the data. That situation, when we are inserting data, suppose there is int a is there. It allocates only particular bytes of memory. Suppose there is a character, only 100 bytes only we want to store 100 bytes. So then it is restricted. User only entered 100 characters. So that is one of the major advantage of these data types. Automatically we restrict. So one of the example is there is a message box. Every mobile there is a message box is there. Message box, text, SMS box. The maximum capacity is 144 characters only. Means user only enter 140. There is a restricting, right? Same way, we are also restricting the user with the help of data type. That is one of the most important benefit, right? And also, we can restrict the type of the value. With the help of this data type, we can restrict the user. So how you can restrict the user? Suppose I want to collect the data from the user. What type of data? I want to collect the mobile number. So here, suppose user may enter only here numbers, right or not? Mobile number in the sense numbers only there. But he is end user trying to enter characters. Means suppose I am putting age. Suppose he enter 25, but he is trying to enter 25. So there is a problem is there. So we want to restrict this type of scenario also, right? This type of situation also we can overcome with the help of data type. Why? Because mobile number is number. Suppose we decide with this is an integer, then automatically it only allows the user to enter the numbers. Is right or not? So we are initial stage only we restrict the user. Initial stage only we restrict the user. That is one of the most benefit of these data types. First one is allocating the memory. Then automatically we can mention the type of the variable. And there is a one more is also there. C provide a standard minimum set of basic data types. Sometimes these are called primitive types. More complex data types can be built up from these basic types. So here there are totally, these are primitive data types. These are primitive data types, right? Integer, characters, float, double and void. There is one more is there. Void is also one of the data type. So these are primitive data types. Just you observe, these are data types. This is a diagram. Up to here, these are primitive data types. These derived data types, user defined data types that can be designed by the user. So we will discuss in later arrays, function, pointers, structure and union, one of the most important concepts in C language. If you learn these all concepts in C, your C language is complete course is finished right now. So here we just now we are going to discuss only this much only. We never go to complete, we are not going to discuss completely. First of all, we discuss to integer data type. Here there is an integer is there, integer data type. These data type is used to allocate memory for numeric values, just whole numbers only. It allows only whole numbers. It never allows decimal numbers. It never allows decimal number. Integer can allows only integer values. Integer can be categorized into int, short, long. These three data types are there. Under int, there are three data types are there. Int, short, long. Int can allocate 2 bytes of memory. Short can allocate 1 byte of memory. Long can allocate 4 bytes of memory. So again you consider here, again you observe one important thing is there, signed and unsigned. You observe signed and unsigned. What is signed? The signed data types can hold both positive and negative values. Suppose there is a signed int, you want to mention signed int. Before int data type you are mentioning signed int. What is the meaning of this? It can be allows positive and negatives. It can allows positive and negative values. It can store 16-bit value. It can store 16-bit value. And what is mean by unsigned? Unsigned in the sense, unsigned, it allows positive value, negative. Unsigned data types only allows positive values. Unsigned values only allows positive values. So that is one of the issues there. Signed values positive and negatives, and unsigned can be only for positive values but not negative values, including 0. One more data type is there. One more data type, that is character data type. One more data type is that character data type. What is a character data type? One character may show only one character. One character allows only 1 byte of memory. It allocates only 1 byte of memory. This data type indicates the value stored in the associated variable is a character. Just observe here, these characters are internally stored as a integers. These characters are internally stored as a integer. Character data types are there. One character equal 1 byte. Suppose you want to allowing 10 characters, 10 bytes. 100 characters, 100 bytes it allows. That is the one thing is there. So here, next one more data type is there, float, double and long double. These are floating data type. Floating data types in the sense, these are nothing but these memory. These floating data types are allocating memory for real numbers. Float data types can allocate 4 bytes of memory. Double data type can allocate 8 bytes of memory. And here just you observe, totally float data type can allocate 4 bytes of memory. Just observe, this is a 4 bytes of memory. 4 bytes of memory. But here there are two parts are divided. One is integral part, one more is floating part. And again these 4 bytes can be divided into 2 bytes and 2 bytes. Means when you are enter float a equal 10.235. That means here store 10, here store 235. when operation is going, when a is performed different type of operation, that situation it may be converts to, it may be going to after decimal it will be going to 0, right? Then a equal 10.0 suppose, means it is replaced with a 0. So automatically this float data type can erase this much of space. When the floating point value goes to 0, automatically it releases 2 bytes of memory. But actually this a is float only, but it works as an integer, right? Why? Because 10.0 is considered as a integer data type. Automatically it ignores this point decimal value. That is one of flexibility is there in float data type. Then there is a double data type is there. Double in the sense same one, integral part and float part, and totally 8 bytes of memory here, 4 bytes for integral part and fractional part, 4 bytes for fractional part. Same 10, 2, 3, 5. When this going to 2, 3, 5 going to 0, then automatically it going to integral part, means 4 bytes of memory. Integer, 4 bytes integer in the sense 4 bytes of memory, what can allocate? Long. Automatically double can works like long data type, and this float 2 bytes of integer int data type. You observe that? Means very simple, float and double are real data types. The memory is allocating two parts, integral part and floating part. When the floating point going to 0, then it convert to integral part, means if in case it contain 2 bytes, then it treat as int data type. If in case it contains 4 bytes, it contains long data type. That is the difference is there, and everyone should understood this float data type. So totally we have how many data types is there? Totally we have primitive data types are totally 6 data types: int, short, long, char, float, double. Totally we are having 4 data types. What are the 4 data types? Just observe: int, short, long, char, float, double. Totally these are primary data. We are using these data types. String is one of the data, but that is a user defined data. We consider as in C user defined, right? And all are converted to signed and unsigned data type. Just you observe. Signed means holds positive and negative values, but unsigned only allows positive values, but cannot negative values, including 0. And long int allocates 4 bytes of memory and for numerical values. Everyone, character data type is only 1 byte for 1 character. Only 1 byte for 1 character. Each character has equivalent to ASCII value. Then float data type is there. Float, 4 bytes of memory. From the 4 bytes, 2 bytes for integral part. From the 2 bytes for formal part. Next one, double data type. Totally it allocates how many bytes? 8 bytes. From the 8 bytes, 4 bytes are integral part, 4 bytes for formal part. Next, there is a last one is there, void data type. Void is an empty data type that has no value. The void that specifies an empty set of values. The void type never refers to an object. The void type comprises the empty set of values. So here every main method is we are beginning with void, and in a future you can get very clear. You have a clear idea about this void. In a one statement we never get this void meaning clearly. As per now we are going to just only statements I pass, but in a later definitely we are going to cover this void data type in depth. Each and every, when we are learning each and every program, in a main method we are writing void and integer type. Why it is not a return type, it is a sometimes is a return type. The type of situations we occurred, that time we get clear information about this void data type. And again we repeat, totally how many data types are there? We have int, short int, long, char, float, double. Short int can allocate how many bytes? 1 byte of memory. Int 2 bytes of memory. Long 4 bytes of memory. Character 1 byte per 1 character. 1 byte equal 1 character. Float 4 bytes of memory, and double 8 bytes of memory. float is converting to int when the decimal part go into 0, and double is converting to long when the decimal part go into 0. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.